I just realized that the first journal article that I had in my hand was after I started the master's, because I had no access to journal articles before. And during my undergrad degree, it was like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and in my university we didn't have access to journal articles easily, so we used books and book chapters. So when I saw a journal article, I didn't know like what it was very strange for me in terms of structure and the approach to knowledge. So it took me a while to understand that structure and how to interact with that. The second point that also was important for me was that I'm not an intense reader by nature. Like if you give me some time, I won't pick up a book to read. I'll do some other things, especially if it's a dense reading, like a journal article. So it was an exercise of learning how to hook myself into a journal article. And in the beginning I had a lot of problems to read in English, which was very slow and very tricky with lots of words that I didn't pick up. I think it was English and the academic way of writing, which were hard for me. Another challenge was that I thought I should read from like everything and be like finished reading, and that I should know everything that was in that article and pay attention to everything. So I spread energy all around the place and at the end I had like lots of things about the article, but I didn't know what to do with those things. I started talking to people that started their masters or PhDs at the same time. And it's, how are you reading? Like, I spend a lot of time. I think that I don't go anywhere with that, or I end up with my head like full of ideas, my mind full of ideas, but I don't know what to do with that. And then we started exchanging some practice, which was good, because they did honors before, most of them, or they did a master's before, and they had more experience than me, and I learned a little bit with them. But also interacting with supervisors or lecturers, that was good as well, to get tips and ideas of how to be more productive in reading. The second strategy that I used was to understand that I was putting myself, and this was my main hook to read. I wasn't there to observe what was written on the article. I was there to question the author and to almost build a dialogue with him. So my notes were like, what about this? You didn't tell me that. Or, but I didn't understand this very well. What about this other part that you didn't explain? So I was building questions to interact with the author. So it was good. I understood that I had to almost like have an interview with the person that was writing the article. And building on that, I also thought that afterwards, when I finish, I should write something that is almost like I'm explaining to someone else what I just read. So this could be a way of exercising the summary and how how it could be presented in my words. And another thing that I found out later is that for me, I can never read just for the sake of reading, because this doesn't bring my interest. I have to figure out what's that reading for. So it needs to be connected with something that I'm thinking, or a question that I have, or something that I have to write, like a research proposal. So I have to find a practical end for it, and then I will be interested to read whatever I need to read. Okay. And with that, I struggled a little bit with the fact that sometimes I don't need to read the full article. I just need to get some things out of it, and that will be fine. But I still find myself guilty in that situation because I think, I don't know, I'm not, like, I didn't get close to that knowledge enough to observe what they're talking. But somehow, sometimes I think this is enough, and it's still a struggle. I think that strategy of identifying a purpose, it is the main thing. If you, especially writing down the questions, as I learned from the workshop, like write down what you want to know, what are the questions that you have to answer, and then read the article with that focus. That's changing for me, because I tend to spread a lot of energy everywhere, and then I don't know how to collect the results afterwards. So finding a purpose, this idea of pretending that I'm writing or explaining to someone else afterwards, and this is something that I didn't put in practice fully yet, but I was thinking the other day that I could even record myself afterwards telling what I just read, and that would be a good way of exercising my articulation on that topic. Like, another point is understand that reading is not isolated, it is integrated with other research practice. So it could be like when you were thinking about the research design and you are reading and understanding how you could do your research based on that reading, or you are thinking of your interviews, or you are just writing your research proposal itself. So I understand this is good. Talk to people. Don't be ashamed of like being in trouble or facing problems to get a good pace of reading. So I think talking to people until now, like just after the workshop that I went to have a coffee with a friend, and I was saying, oh, but I'm still struggling with this and that, and then this friend said, oh, and I have this, oh, maybe we could exchange some ideas. Oh, have a look at what the tools that I use. Oh, have a look at the other thing that I do. And this is always good to learn as a group and to share experience like that. And I think what I don't do very neat yet is a way of taking notes. So I'm still experimenting ways. So I take notes on my notebook, or sometimes I take notes on the computer, sometimes I take notes around the article, and I know I'm losing things because sometimes I don't know where I took the notes of such an article that I need to find. So one recommendation that I would give to myself and to others is experiment a little bit of different ways of taking notes, but pick up one and stick to it and be consistent. It's a better way of keeping your knowledge reachable. And understand that I loved how the more I read, the more I learned, and it was easier to engage with the journal article after I had some reading experiences before. So I understand it's always building on the top of the other. Probably the speed of change is not so strong now, but I understand that every time I read, I have more concepts, more references, more ideas, or more questions than I had in the previous paper. And this helps me to go deeper in the analysis and move ahead.